Hey Spuddies, Potato McWhiskey here, and welcome back to my latest video game addiction that will ruin my life. It is none other than Age of Wonders 4. Now, where we left off, we had a little bit of a scuffle with our neighbor here, and our capital city was continuing to develop, and we had managed to capture this outpost over here, mainly just to push them back off my border. I want them off my case. My leader has leveled up. She is now level 6, which will give us an opportunity to continue to level her skills. What we really want here is the Weaver ability. This will allow us to actually use our once per battle abilities twice. And that includes things like the summon animal. So we'll be able to summon 2 tier 3 animal units and overchannel twice, which is a big advantage, you might imagine. Now, the other thing that we will get with this hero is arcane strength. This will give her 10% damage, 10% more accuracy, and greater status resistance ignoring. And that will finally allow us to take the Weaver promotion on her next level because we have 5. Oh, we might actually need another one. Yeah, we might need to take another one. Anyway, we'll get there. Righty-yo, I think it's time that we go and clear this quest. I think I may also take the basic seafaring ability if I indeed decide to clear this. I mean, there is just a little bit of flotsam there. I kinda need my spearmen to kill this stack of pigs without any risk. So let's do that. Let's kill this stack of pigs. This will complete the mission. We shouldn't take much, if any, damage because we're perfectly set up to fight these. Now I can claim their meat for food in my capital city, which will grow me a pop. I can take their cash if I want their money, or I could enlist a soother, have another soother in my army. I don't think I need more than one soother. One soother is enough, or I could take a bunch of Imperium. I think I'm going to take growing my capital city isn't that important to me. And money is really useful, so I'm going to take the money. You can never have too much money in this game. I'm going to detach my hero for the purpose of getting into the water and claiming this flotsam. Amazingly, the city of Obscurum has actually already built a demon gate. So if we can get control of this city, we will be able to make use of that demon gate. This is a unique province improvement that allows you to train various fiend type units. Let's go ahead and tap this watchtower. There's quite a bit of coastal stuff that we want to play around with as well. We will need to get access to the ocean, ideally through this water tile over here, so we can start building boats. Now, your regular units can fight on the water as well, but I think it's usually a good idea to build a navy. Asgera Spinesplitter declared a rivalry on me again, but I have managed to knock her down the rankings. Her magic and military is obliterated. Her expansion is obliterated. She does have a really good economy. Do we really care when we have knocked her down? Oh my god, she stole the treasure right underneath my eye. God damn her. So we have another quest here. They want me to deal with a couple of corrupt souls. I'm going to go ahead and accept that quest. Where is it? It's all the way over here, right? That's going to be quite a while before we can complete that. And I think it's finally time that we redirect our army to the north. So I'm just going to tell all my units to make their way back to the capital city in as reasonable amount of time as you can manage. There won't be much we can do with our army in this local area unless we decided to declare war on Obscurum. I think they actually might be stronger than me as it currently stands, and I don't particularly want to engage them in warfare. We have managed to research lightning focus, which will allow us to enchant our magical units with +2 damage. I'm quite happy about that. Do I want storm spirits? Now, one big advantage of storm spirits is that they do have the ability to dodge a lot of ranged attacks. They are surprisingly good anti-range units. Then again, I could take lightning blades. I really don't think I need the storm spirit. I think I'm going to go ahead and take lightning blades so that I can have a less mundane or a less magical army. My army will be fairly mundane, and by that I mean they will be focused on basic things. I'm going to go ahead and if I build a watchtower in here, it'll pay for itself in 20 turns. So yeah, I'll build a watchtower here because it seems like building buildings is actually affected by my racial abilities. So I'm going to go ahead and pop a work camp in there. That might actually be a little bit of an oversight, or it could be intentional that our outposts are easier to manage and worth more. Let's get started on casting lightning focus. We will now enchant our units with this ability. So it'll cost a 6 mana upkeep per turn, and that'll be 2 per unit, and they should do some extra damage. I'm very happy about that. We have finally reached vassalage with the Astral Anchorage. Now, we have just the basic level of vassalage. They are a tributary. They share all of their magical materials. Trading costs are reduced. They contribute to the Rally of Lieges, which is a mechanic I have not yet talked about because the next rally is in 3 turns, but we will talk about it when we get there. And if we stay here, keep our Whispering Stone here, we will eventually reach vassalage, which they'll share 30% of their income. Trading costs are at default levels. And then eventually bonded vassalage, where they share 40% of their income, which would be double the current rate, I believe. Currently their vassalage, where it's all default, right? We get 30% of their money, they share their magic materials, trading costs are default, so we could trade, right? I could trade 5 mana for 10 draft. I think I'm actually going to trade that 5 gold for that 10 production, because that will actually help my city out quite a bit because it's production starved, remember. Production is the thing that we're having trouble getting in here. All my buildings are twice as expensive as normal. Now this increases until we all get all the way to supreme vassalage, where they share 50% of their income, they share all of their magical materials, they contribute 5 banners to the Rally of Lieges, their trading is cheaper, and we can actually integrate the city. I'm going to go ahead and withdraw my Whispering Stone from the Astral Anchorage because I already have them as a vassal, which means I'm getting some of their income, and I don't need to make them a really strong vassal, and I'm going to give that Whispering Stone to Obscurum so I can start to build up my relationship with them. We will get a Pact of Cooperation in 9 turns. I may boost that. It's only 59 to boost, so I'm going to do that so that we can get that in 5 turns. Imperium is probably the most limited currency in the entire game. So it should tell you a lot about how important getting this kind of vassalage can be that I'm willing to spend like that. Alright, looks like we found ourselves a dragon lair. We want to stay outside of the dragon lair if we can. We have built our very first spell shield, and the second one is well on its way. It looks like somebody else has started to negotiate with the city of Obscura. If I check here, you can see that this other player is starting to build up his relationship with them. So this is something I'm going to have to keep an eye on. If his alignment is growing faster than mine, if they're gaining more allegiance, I may have to boost allegiance more to get them to be my vassal faster. This is a very powerful city-state, and they'll give me access to some very powerful units if I can bring them onto my side. This great bird nest, I think, just sent a invasion force of carrion birds and grimbeak crows, so I'm going to need to be ready to fight those off. They'll probably come and try to pillage a farm or something of my territory, so we'll see what they decide to do. We have met Skeptical Draxper, who is the Baron Bemister Lord Seeker of the Free City of Draxper. These guys don't like me so much. They are rodent ancients, and they are Bemister Lord Seeker as their leader. These guys probably will never be my friends. We just finished researching the lightning blade. Let's go ahead and select a new research. And because we have completed enough research cycles, we can actually pick our next tome. There's quite a few choices here that are viable for us. We could, if we want, go for the Tome of Warding, which would give us access to things like Staves of Warding, which would allow our support abilities to give even more magic resistance. And then we could pick up magical wards to resist even more magic. We would be the Tome of Warding is a really good counter book to a mystic race. Because it gives you all of the defenses that you need to fight another mystic race. One option that we have here is to push harder for order affinity. If I go down the order path here, I'll gain more Whispering Stones, I'll get more gold from my vassals, units that I recruit through the Rally of Lieges, which is how you recruit units from your vassals, will be a higher rank, and my vassals will be stronger. Or my vassals will be a higher level vassal when I vassalize them. And eventually, I believe the Rally of Lieges gets cheaper and it happens more often, and then I think my vassals will give more resources. So this is definitely more in like the vassalization direction. On the opposite side, the realm of chaos, this is more about blowing up cities. For example, raising cities takes 2 less turns, it yields more resources. But you do gain a unit of tier 3 of the raised cities culture. Then you've also got this right here, War Slaves. Raising cities grants +1 population to one of your cities for every 3 population of the city that was raised. I think I want to stay more on the good side of things, so if I'm going to go for something, it would probably be order. Although then again, chaos is really valuable as a dip because of the impressment bonus here. You can get this incredibly quickly, and it reduces your unit tier 1 upkeep by 30%. Then there's battlefield looting, which gives you money for killing things. Lure of the Horde gives you lots of free units. A 50% chance of just getting a free unit every time you win a battle. I could also push harder into the Materium affinity. I think I have enough Astral affinity to get to the end in a reasonable amount of time. I'll probably need to get another Astral book or 2. But you don't need to get to Astral Binding that quickly. I mean, I don't have that many Magic Origin units, but if I were to go for more Materium, I would get things like the Breastplate of the Champion. My mines would give me draft income. My special province improvements would give me gold. My cities would cost less gold to build up. The big advantage of going for the Tome of Faith is I would be able to get things like Faithful Whispers, which would allow me to have really good relationships with free cities. And that seems like a really good way to advance through a game where you can only have a limited number of cities. So I think I'm going to go for the Tome of Faith here, mainly because it points in the direction of working with a lot of vassals, which seems to be the way this faction should play. Also, this book covers some significant weaknesses of mine, which is really just a lack of healing. So I might go ahead and take these Staves of Mending, which will give Faithful to all of my units, which will lower their unit upkeep, but it'll also give them Mending Touch, which is a free heal that they can do every 2 turns. That seems pretty damn good. The Chaplain's also a really good unit, as is the ability to heal your armies. It's kind of like the reverse of the enemy army damage spell. This is really, really useful stuff. If I were to think about what I need though, I think I'm going to take Staves of Mending for Mending Touch. Let's go ahead and cast Lightning Blades. This will give me +4 lightning damage for all of my melee units. That's shock units, shield units, polearm units, fighter units, and skirmisher units. But they will lower their physical damage and give them a 30% chance of inflicting electrified, which deals damage at the end of enemy turns. So just overall making my army high quality, which I think is the objective of playing this faction, is to have a really, really high quality army. It's finally time for the Rally of the Lieges, which is a moment whereby we can recruit units from our vassals. Right now, our only vassal is a tier 1 faction of halfling builders, which means we can only recruit the Arcanist and the Arcane Guard. Now, my eventual plan is to recruit both of these so that we can set up a support stack of tier 1 units to support my my main army. So I'm going to go ahead and recruit these to the Throne City. They will have a relatively high upkeep, but they're much cheaper to recruit through your vassals. So Rally of the Lieges is a great way to expand your army for a relatively low cost. My capital city is ready to expand. It would be nice to get my 3rd quarry, but I think it also might be time for me to start getting my lumber mills, and I don't see many good opportunities for lumber mills. I'm going to go ahead and build that forester right there to try to lock that in, because that will mean that we'll be able to boost quite a lot of these buildings. We are going to need to find time to build these channeling towers and the Mystic Abbey, which will give us a ton of mana and knowledge, but they're just not things that I'm focusing on right now. Right, let's go ahead and get started with this stack and start sending it to the north. We should be able to clear out some of these things relatively easily without taking losses. The auto combat will probably take losses, but as long as I actually play it out, it should be fine. The main objective is to keep this unit far away from the actual battle. It doesn't have to retreat off the battle, just can't be close to it. And we managed to summon a unicorn. Like I said, a lot of these smaller, weak battles, I'm not going to narrate them. I'm just going to let them happen. There we go, that's a much better outcome. Our unit didn't actually die, and we get to pick up a little bit of mana. We have ourselves another quest. They want me to defeat some planar beasts. I will get an astral boon and a mystery bonus. Now they want me to destroy this stack. Now this thing has a mage bane in it. Now the unfortunate thing about a mage bane is while this unit is battle, spells cannot be cast by the enemies. This thing is really bad news. So we have to kill that pretty quickly. My units lose morale if they can't cast spells, which makes this the perfect counter unit to me. It's fierce, so it can't rout, it has pass through, it's the demolisher. I mean, this is really the only scary unit in this stack. So if we can get enough lightning damage onto him, I think we can get him killed. He does a lot of damage, and he ignores resistance, but I think we can deal with him as long as we can get all of our units on board. The Rally of Lieges went through, so now we have our whole bunch of spearmen and arcanists. Let's go ahead and take our second Whispering Stone. We could also increase our city cap by 1, but I don't think that's our priority right now. I think I would rather be able to go onto the ocean, so I'm going to take Seafaring. And now my little floaty boys should be able to actually go out onto the ocean. With my second Whispering Stone, I'm going to go ahead and build up my relationship with Astral Anchorage because I want more of their resources and I want our vassalage to be a tighter bond. Let's go ahead and cast Lightning Torrent on this army. That'll do 20 damage. I'm tempted to cast it again to just get that little bit of extra damage in, but it's honestly not that effective against these guys. The problem is I won't be able to cast spells once I'm in the battle, so I think I just need to get as much damage in on them as I can before I actually fight them. Then I guess I'll cast Staves of Mending for next turn, which will allow me to actually upgrade my support units. And let's go ahead and take on this quest battle and see what happens. If I auto-combat this, we'll lose a single spearman. I think that's acceptable levels of loss for me. At this phase of the game, losing a tier 1 unit is not a big deal. We gain 62 mana, as well as a Satirical Orb, which is a tier 2 magical weapon. I'll go ahead and take that reward and equip it to my hero. Right now we're using a Lightning Orb, which is 10 damage. The Satirical Orb also inflicts Despair. The question is it worth it to switch our damage type from Electric, which most of our enemies are weak to light damage and inflicting morale penalties, which most of our enemies are strong against? I think not. I think we're better off sticking to the Lightning Orb, at least for now. I'm going to take Lightning Evoker on my leader as well. This will deal damage to 3 enemy units, inflicting Sundered Resistance as well as Electrified. So I'll take that, and then that will be the final ability that I need before I can take Weaver, which will allow me to refresh all of my cooldowns. So by finishing that quest, we get a bonus. We get some city stability. We could get a Chaplain of the Deep Dwellers. Honestly, not a bad option. Healing Prayer is quite good, as is Bless, Fortune Strengthened and Bolstered Resistance. We could gain a bunch of knowledge, which doesn't seem so good, and we gain a bunch of mana, which we don't need. I'm going to take the Chaplain. I'm going to take the free Chaplain, and then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to cancel the Soother, because I don't need the Soother then if I'm getting a free Chaplain. And this Chaplain can act as the support unit Maybe for my main stack. Do I want to use this for my main stack? I think so. Bless is a really powerful ability, especially if I cast it on one of these spellbreakers. I don't really care for the Evoker. It's a tier 2 battle mage when I'm going to have access to a tier 3 battle mage that's just strictly better. So I'll go ahead and shuffle that research. The convent is actually going to be a pretty decent city structure for me here. I'm going to lock in the chaplain because that's a decent unit as well, because of it slightly, I would say that it's slightly better than the one that we start with. The big advantage of the Soother is that Soothing Breeze hits 2 targets, so it technically heals for more, but the fact that the other guy can bless pretty regularly just gives him the edge, because the Soother actually has no buffs. That is, like, the unit does not provide any buffs to my army stack. Now, what it does do is it does make spells cheaper to cast if it's in a battle, right, by 20%. So it is good to have a Soother, but probably just need to have a Soother per army group. Let's finish casting Staves of Mending, which will significantly upgrade our support units. I'm going to take the Pacification Order skill. This will give me a 300 relations bonus to all free cities when I destroy an infestation or when I conquer a free city. That'll come in very handy, in particular, because I'm going for a vassal-heavy strategy. The vassalage of Astral Anchorage has gone up. Now it's giving us 40% of its income, so we're getting quite a bit more mana and gold and research from them. Right, let's go ahead and take on this node. Actually, it looks like they are going to flee, and I could spend some stuff to get good alignment. Good alignment will help us with most of our vassals, so I will go ahead and spend that mana and clear these guys from this location, getting 83 mana back. It's a very nice advantage. And since I took that without a fight, I think I can go for the NPC army that's guarding this arcanium ore. Now, it's got a golden golem, a rock giant, as well as 3 gargoyles. These guys are weak to spirit, but at least the golden giant is vulnerable to shock. Holy shit, he's terrifying. He's a polearm using, with golden retaliation. He has unlimited retaliation attacks while he's in defense mode. Enemy melee attackers have a 60% chance of becoming gilded, which stuns them and gives the winner of the battle 20 gold per unit tier. First strike, he's fierce. It deals damage to all gilded units within a 3 hex radius. If any units are killed, this unit heals 10 hit points. Okay, this is a tier 5 veteran golden golem. This thing is seriously powerful, and we need to respect it. So I'm going to prepare to blast that stack with electric magic before I take it on. I think I can beat this stack. I do have the power to take it on. But this golden golem and this rock giant, if they get their real damage in, is going to be a big problem. These smaller units are going to be easy for me to deal with. It's the big guys I'm worried about. So I'm just going to end the turn so I can double lightning torrent this army, which should bring it down to a more manageable level of health. First lightning torrent has been cast, and let's cast the second lightning torrent as well. There we go, boom. They have been zapped. They have been weakened. Is there anything I can do to maybe help me before this battle? Unfortunately, I don't think there is, so we'll just have to go in and fight it. Now, if I auto-combat this, I lose a single Arcanist. This is, again, a really acceptable loss. Let me see how this battle played out to see if maybe there's a better way I could have fought it. The reason that I'm willing to accept this is because this battle has the negative effect, the Arcanium ore, which deals 20 damage to all attacking units, which means my army, every 2 turns if they do not, if they're not floating or non-flying. So everyone on the ground on my army is just taking damage. So I don't even know if I can do better than what they did. Let's see how they played it out. Yep, there goes the damage spike. He throws a rock. He gilds me. We blast him with Cosmic Ablation. I could probably do a little bit better than this, but honestly, losing a single Arcanist is well within the acceptable bounds of losses here. Having watched this battle, I think I could win it without losing a unit, but I don't think there's a point. It would just take up a bunch of time. This unit wasn't particularly highly leveled. It was only a rank 1, so acceptable losses in my opinion. Let's take military engineering. This will make outposts cheaper to make, and they'll build faster, as well as starting with the palisade structure. And now on this Arcanium ore, we're going to build an outpost. This will allow us to gather this Arcanium ore, making hurry recruitment for units 25% cheaper, but more importantly, we get that 10 mana income for our empire. Now, a whole bunch of production just got pumped into the capital, which I'm super happy about. We do need to get to 10 population so that we can boost the Town Hall Tier 3, the Mystic Spire, so we can start to produce Spellbreakers, which will be our main unit, our main fighting unit. But it's probably about time that I went back and backfilled for some important buildings like the storehouse. I have kind of crippled the growth of my city in order to keep the economy strong and have the buildings be productive. But I think that's a necessary sacrifice you need to make when you're playing this particular build. Right, we're up against a pretty tough fight. I should be able to auto-combat this without a loss. Okay, we took a loss, so I'll fight that manually. This should be an easy battle, so I'm not willing to accept a loss on an easy battle. On a hard battle, if I lose a single tier 1 unit, that's fine. totally within the realm of like what I would expect to happen. It should be a fairly trivial battle. I have buffed up my Spellbreaker. I'll move him up into position. My hero will summon a tier 3 animal, the Unicorn, who I will phase to the front line. And basically, it's a throwaway unit. That's what makes it so effective and so powerful, is I don't have to care if it survives, which allows me to play exceptionally greedy with its life. I'll overchannel with my hero. This will allow me to do 2 cosmic ablations. I'm tempted to cosmically ablate these snake boys, keep them busy, and then we'll charge in with the Unicorn, bring our shield boys up, do a stunning flash to try and stun this guy. And he did get stunned, that's perfect. Let's drop a fat AoE from the Spellbreaker, very nice, 60 damage plus. And then we can move on the actual ranged units to fight. I will cosmically ablate this fiend, and it is now dead, excellent. I'm going to use the Bless spell on my Arcanist here. This will give them, hopefully, the extra damage they need to kill this guy. Okay, no crit, unfortunate. So maybe the Soother can finish it. Perfect, good job, Soother. Now that did provide a little bit of AoE healing. But we are in a position to efficiently counter that and get up into his face and smash him. Perfect. There we go. We made it through the battle. Now we did take a little bit more damage spread out, but we didn't lose anything, and taking damage spread out is a lot easier to heal than actually losing a unit. Let's take another fight. We should be able to auto-resolve this. Okay, another spearman lost. I'll fight this again. So we're up against some nightmare horses and some ogres with some spiders. The ogres shouldn't be too hard. They do have a very small chance of instantaneously killing a unit. Shouldn't be too much of a problem, as long as we keep our units nice and healthy, because that ability scales based on how damaged your unit is. All right, let's drop a little mending touch right here, and then we'll do a soothing breeze to keep the spearmen nice and healthy. Perfect. With my hero, I will summon a nice unicorn that I will phase teleport to the front line. And I gotta heal up this spell shield to make sure that he's up to the snuff. Right, we can get big fat fulminates here on our enemies, which we're absolutely going to do. We will even overchannel. I should have really lowered their lightning resistance if I was going to do this, but the double fulminate is good AoE damage. We're going to bring our pikemen up into the fight. We're also going to bring the unicorn up in charge. We're going to get a fat star purge here, which should obliterate any of their positive debuffs or positive buffs as well, and do major damage. And we'll start to swing our shield guys around the flank. Right, 1 ogre down. Now let's move our spell shields around. Maybe we'll do 1 to here and 1 to here. Otherwise, I think we can basically just auto-resolve this fight now from this point. Yeah, this is an auto-resolvable fight, but I may as well do my Cosmic Ablation and finish it off myself. This will save me yet more losses and a whole bunch of my units leveled up. Now, I did actually get the ability that gives me a bunch of research when my units level up. You can see here, I can gain knowledge whenever a unit gains a rank. I don't know how much knowledge I get, but basically my entire army leveled up there. And in fact, some of my units have reached the champion rank, which is the step before they become a legend, which will give them the evoker ability. So I'm kind of excited at the possibility that some of these units could reach the final rank. We have just finished researching the chaplain, which I only just began to research, which is quite nice. I'm going to go ahead and take Faithful Whispers. This will allow me to level up and vassalize cities faster. And it's about time that I started actually increasing my knowledge income, which is severely lacking as it currently stands. My ruler also leveled up. They're currently level 8, which means I'm getting a ton of casting reserves from them. And my Wizard King has given me 40 casting ability, which is really damn nice. We can finally take the Weaver ability, so now we can refresh our summoning spells. I can spend 66 gold to gain 6 allegiance with Obscurum, which is a really good, basically free bonus. So there's absolutely no universe in which I'm not taking that. I am going to pop into my territory for a heal, I think. Yeah, my units are a little bit damaged, and I'd like them to be slightly healthier before I start clearing up this area here. Now, this outpost mostly exists to gather up this arcanium ore. We want to gather up all of the materials in the world because you get special effects when you gather them all. So, for example, to get the Rings of Binding ability, which will give all of my heroes +1 defense, +1 resistance, and 10% bonus damage, I need to have Arcanium ore, which makes hurry recruitment cheaper. I need to have Focus Crystals, which gives 10% experience in all my units. And I need to have Fireforge Stone, which makes all of my units 20% cheaper. In order to get Cosmoflux Elixir, which makes all of my mana resource nodes grant an extra 10 knowledge and 10 mana, I need to have Archon Blood, which increases my combat casting points. I need to have Astral Dew, which increases my world map casting points. And I need to have the Tranquility Pool, which makes researching spells cost 10% less knowledge. For Imperial Essence, which gives me +10 Imperium income, I need Haste Berries, which makes founding, migrating, and absorbing cities take -2 turns. the silver tongue fruit, which makes my whispering stones grant +1 alliance, which allows me to get vassals faster. And I need the rainbow clover, which will increase my relations with all free cities by +100. Effectively +1 to relationship with all other players, which significantly improves your diplomatic prospects. My capital city has grown another population, but what we really need is a lumber mill, and none of these tiles are really doing it for me. What I could do is I could come over to this quarry here, switch it to a forester, and then claim another quarry. That's probably the most reasonable thing to do, and so that's what I'm going to do. Now, Noctus has been encroaching on my territory as well. I have a huge amount of grievances with him. He's been insulting my empire, and he's ignored my claims on my borders, so it could be quite good for me to declare a war on him. I think declaring a rivalry with him is probably a good move, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Oh, it would cost me 200 and it cost me 20 per turn. That's quite expensive. I think I'll do it anyway, and I think it's time we started building the Wizard Tower. The Wizard Tower gives you some Imperium and also leads to a bunch of really important buildings, like the Wizard Tower level 2 and the Room of Recall. So there's a couple of things that we need to deal with here. This army of marauders has been chasing around one of my scouts, which has me a little bit more than a little bit irked. So let's go ahead and get rid of this. I want to have both my army stacks in position to assist here. This should go pretty well for me. I don't like losing units right now, so I'm going to fight these battles manually. Now, we're up against, I believe, is a tier 4 Phoenix, so we're going to have to deal with this thing pretty quickly. It's resistance to most things except for frost. We don't do a whole lot of frost damage. It is a charge shock unit. It has overheat, which is a big AoE, so we'll need to deal with that. Or just accept that damage. We do have pretty good resistance, so maybe we'll just live with the big old overheat. Alright, Spellbreaker, do what you do best. Do your big fat AoE giga damage. Very nice, I'm very happy with that. I'm going to come to my leader and I'm going to do an overchannel. That'll allow me to cast 2 spells this turn. I'm going to do maybe 1 fulminate. If the fulminate would kill, I would have done it. But the fact that it doesn't kill, I might focus on the Phoenix. Let me reassess. I'll get this nightmare to go chase down this bird, which is basically a free tackle. I'm going to go ahead and use the Weaver ability to refresh my spells. Let's close the pass with melee units so they can't get through. Make sure my melee units are facing the enemy. I'll summon another tier 3 animal unit. This time I got unicorns, a very useful unit, I might add. Now this Phoenix will do a big old fat dump of damage on me, but I don't think the rest of the units are capable of doing much. So I think I'm willing to accept that big fat dump of damage, because I'm going to be very easily able to deal with the rest of their army. Like for sure, like boom, burning, ow, yeah, it all hurts, like, yeah, okay. But doesn't really matter when I'm like in a perfect position to just like counterattack. Also, I can overchannel again, which is quite a fun moment to have. I'm going to fulminate here to give everyone star blades. Then I will overchannel again, because remember that ability gets refreshed, so now I can double cast again. And then I will cosmically ablate this lad. This gives me high morale. I'll get my ponies to flank just on the off chance that we need to fight that again next turn. And now we can begin the blasting. Because this is an extra large animal, I believe, yeah, it's 20% easier to hit it with physical and magical ranged attacks. Now here's the thing, the Phoenix has fiery rebirth, so it's either good to kill it early or last. And if we kill it last, I think it won't actually get to be reborn. Oh my god, look at that fat crit, 24 damage a hit from the Spellbreaker. That was genuinely a beautiful moment. Alright. This is your job now, Arcane Guard. My units do like absurd levels of damage. It's really, really nice. The quality of my army is just fantastic. So no losses, barely any health damage taken. And now I want to clear this location as well. So I'm going to dip the toe into the desolation with both of these stacks. I'll move my hero over to engage the stack. I'll auto-combat it. We didn't lose anything, which is perfect. Remember, we're always trying to like balance our time as well. Now, this army is inside my territory. It is a little bit hurt, but I think everything is looking really good. We managed to get through quite a little bit hairy turns here. And now we need to kind of think about what's our next direction. We could continue on, right? And continue pushing east. I think, though, what I'm going to do is maybe I should go invade the underground and attack this guy where he's strong and take him out. I have a justification for war. It would make me significantly stronger. And it would set me up for a strong future. I don't know. It's very tempting. It's very tempting to go to war now. Let's have a look. We could go take on the city of Crystallios as well. This is a tier 3 city of the Elven Builders. They are followers of nature. I could go forcibly vassalize them. Elven Builders are keen-sighted, arcane focused, they're mystics, they're ruthless raiders, they're great builders. I think we're going to go push for the subjugation of the people to the east. We finished researching Faithful Whispers, and I'm immediately going to start casting this. Now, I do need to be careful because I don't have a ton of spare mana income, and your mana can burn away very quickly if you're engaging in a lot of battles. We are ready to pick our tier 3 tome, but I'm actually not ready to make that decision right now. I do think the Tome of Amplification is probably the way that we want to go for a few reasons. First of all, it will give us access to Astral Blood, which will allow us to get Attunement Fortune. So whenever we cast a spell, our units will get +1 Fortune, which equates to 10 critical hit chance. We'll also get Frenzy and Focus, which means every time one of our units attacks, when they're a battle mage or support unit, they'll get a stack of Strengthened, which is +10% damage. The combination of Astral Blood and Frenzy and Focus would give us a ton of extra damage on our magic units. Amplified Arrows could be pretty good too, although we don't actually have any ranged or skirmisher units. Now, we could, if we wanted to, in conjunction with the Tome of Amplification, pick up something like the Tome of Winds and get access to the Zephyr Archer if we wanted a tier 3 ranged unit that does a big AoE damage like the Zephyr Shot. That's something we could look into. The Tome of Winds isn't that great, honestly. Aside from favorable winds, allowing you to move your armies around more quickly, and the Zephyr Archer, everything else in here is kind of weak, like Windborne Scouts. Okay, your scouts are better. You can move enemies around. You can blind enemies. I guess blind is alright because it lowers enemies' physical and magical ranged. If we wanted to go more in the order direction, we could go for the Tome of Inquisition, which would give us access to a skirmisher unit, the Inquisitor, which is a pretty decent melee and range unit. It has a decent melee attack and it has a decent ranged attack that has a chance to stun. The Tithe Collector is pretty good for generating cash flow, would give us more order. We could also get Zeal. I don't think we care too much about Zeal. On the other hand, we could go for the Tome of the Beacon, giving us access to the Covenant of the Faith, which would allow units recruited through the Valley of Lieges to have Faithful bonus, and it would also grant us 10 Imperium whenever every turn. So this would be a great way for us to get more Imperium, to go for the Tome of the Beacon here. And I think that's the direction that I want to go. So I'm going to select the Tome of the Beacon, take the Covenant of the Faith. I don't necessarily know if I need to have Mighty Meek. I mean, I guess Faithful is nice because it reduces my unit upkeep, so I might take Faithful. I'll lock that in, but I really want the Covenant of the Faith. That extra Imperium, it's a way for me to convert mana into Imperium, which is a conversion that you normally cannot do. I'm going to cast Faithful Whispers on the city of Obscurum. This will give me a 30% bonus to my allegiance with them, which should technically speed up how much allegiance we're getting per turn. I'm actually not sure. We're gaining 4, which isn't bad. Now, it looks like they're at war with Noctus. So I'm going to go ahead and let Noctus make his own mistakes. I'm also going to pick up diplomatic channels here from the Order Affinity branch. This will give me another Whispering Stone, so I'm up to 3. I would like to get the one from the Shadow ability too, if I could. Probably want to take a Shadow Book or some sort of Shadow Affinity at some point. Our cash flow is pretty weak right now, and I'm going to give this Whispering Stone to the city of Draxper, and I'm also going to boost our allegiance so that we can try to outcompete this other player for their vassalage. I'm also going to go ahead and cast Faithful Whispers on them to get control of Draxper faster. We can now integrate the city of Astral Anchorage. It would cost us quite a bit of Imperium, but I think our plan is to not integrate. We're mostly going to be like vassalizing the world. Okay, I'm going to stop recruiting units for a little while because my money income is a little bit weak and we are beginning to explore the underground. Now, the big reason to explore the underground is that there's a lot of potential for resource income in here, especially if you decide to start settling down here. And so it can be a good way to increase the income and general power level of your empire is to go and just start settling cities in the underground and then releasing them as vassals, just so that you can control a larger percentage of the map. So Asgara Spinesplitter is getting ready to declare war on me, which means I'm going to need to come to Starspire and start building the Wizard Tower Room of Recall. I may have to just recall my armies. I might take a moment here to clear out some of the nearby stuff just to make a bit of money and then make my way back. Yeah, my capital city is probably just under too much threat, so I'm going to start walking back now with my stacks. So I could hire a Dark Warrior and a Night Guard from the city of Draxper. It'd be pretty cheap. These are pretty good units. But I think I don't have the cash flow to accept that right now. Otherwise, I would totally be willing to. I think I'd like to build an outpost on this mana node and annex the Eternal Bedchambers because I just really need some research right now. So let's head into the Eternal Bedchambers. Now, I haven't actually cleared an Ancient Wonder yet, but you got to explore them with a hero, and then you got to deal with the Guardians. Now, I could trade a population of my city for this, which would hurt my alignment, but I'm going to go ahead and fight this battle. We're up against the Helper, a Warbreed. Holy shit, that's a Warbreed. That is a Warbreed orc, I believe. Corrupt souls, a banshee, and 2 dark warriors. They also have undead servants. However, if I destroy the defending hero, all enemies are instantly killed. So the main target here will be Tar Muria the Helper, who has an insane amount of gear. He's got the Staff of Blossoms, the Crown of Ruin, the Robe of Resistance, the Boots of Freedom, the Ring of Endurance, a Spider Hatchling Bell. So killing this guy, well, I think this is a queen actually. Killing this undead queen should be priority number 1. Now, if I auto-combat this, I'm likely to lose a unit. Actually, no unit lost. Is this an acceptable outcome? I'll watch the replay and determine. Honestly, aside from some inefficiencies, this actually looks like a totally fine battle. So I will accept the outcome. Nothing crazy or stupid was done. And by clearing this, I can now take a reward. Now, I do get a bunch of golds just for doing that. I can get the Corruption Orb, which is a tier 3 magic weapon that has a 90% chance of inflicting misfortune, which increases my enemy's fumble chance, which is like inverse critical hit. It's basically a chance to critically fail. I could add Tar Muria the Helper, this undead hero, to my recruitment pool, which is kind of an interesting ability. I could get a bunch of research, or I could tell her to rest for good alignment. I kind of like the idea of the Corruption Orb. I also really like the idea of adding her to my recruitment pool. I don't think I can afford to get a second hero, so I'm just going to take the Corruption Orb and give that to my leader, because that should be an upgrade over the Magic Bolts, which has a base damage of 10, whereas the Corruption Orb has a base damage of 16. So it should be a pretty nice little upgrade for us there. My hero has leveled up to level 9, so we can grab ourselves another ability. I don't think I need any of these evoker abilities, so I can potentially come down here and dip into something like support, or I could dip into warfare. Now, most of these warfare abilities don't really apply to her, I guess, aside from defense, which would give her a little bit of defense and a little bit of evasion. So I think I'm going to go ahead and dip into the support abilities. I could take Experienced Leader, which would give +2 experience to all units in her army. This would eventually lead to these units leveling up and achieving their legend status. Honestly, that actually doesn't seem so bad to me. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and take Experienced Leader on this character and slowly but surely level these units up. Like this veteran right here, he only needs like a tiny little bit of XP to level up. I wish it would show me actually how much experience they have. It's kind of hard to tell. But like take this guy here, he's an elite, so he'll almost be a champion soon. I could have been a contender. I'm going to spend mana to clear this mana node, which will give me alignment and cost me some mana. But then once I step onto the mana node, I'll get some of that mana refunded. I'll get my hero to step over here and build an outpost here. And the goal of this outpost is to make me some magic and some research. It'll also protect anyone from forward settling me, because it'll add claims to the local tiles. Let's grab the excavation ability so that we can excavate earthen terrain when we're down here in the underground. This will allow us to explore a little bit more freely with our little mystics here. When it comes to this particular outpost, I would like it to pay for itself, so I'm going to build a gold mine here, and that'll let me extract a little bit of cash. And if I build stone walls, it will take a long time for them to pay themselves off, but they will eventually pay themselves off and giving me just that little bit more economy. And also the stone walls makes these outposts much harder to kill, and eventually will allow me to project my power all across the map once I can build teleporters on them, because that's right, one of the late game upgrades you can get is the teleporter province improvement, which also allows you to build teleporters on your outposts like this, which means every single outpost that I have already placed in position and controlling important pieces of territory, not only are they generating me cash, but they're acting as reinforcement points where I can teleport armies around the map. So the city of Starspire has finished its construction. I'm going to go ahead and grab a granary for +20 food income. That'll be a significant increase in the rate of growth for this city. And it looks like an infestation has finally invaded my domain, so I'm going to have to get rid of this great bird nest. However, I do think I'm at the point now where, like I talked about earlier, I have those 2 spell breakers, or spell shields, who I can use to clear it. I said I would need to have my tier 2 shield units before I could clear that, and I have them now. Brilliant, we just finished Covenant of the Faith, so we're going to start casting that on basically every city. The Scroll of Attunement could be good. It would allow me to get Star Blades on my support units. I'll lock that in, but I'm going to research Mighty Meek because I like the idea of getting Faithful and +1 spirit damage on my tier 1 units. This is +1 to 5 damage on my tier 1 units, which would allow them to punch above their weight class. Could be very, very handy for me. Right, let's go ahead and cast the Covenant of the Faith. This will give any units recruited through the Rally of Lieges the Faithful buff, which reduces their upkeep, and the vassal city that I target will give me +5 Imperium per turn at the cost of 6 mana. I think that's a pretty good trade deal, right? 60 mana +6 per turn for a very nice +5 Imperium. which is a very difficult resource to get your hands on. That Imperium can then be used to fill out this tree or settle more outposts, all that sort of jazz. Asgera Spinesplitter has declared war on me, so our units are coming back to the mainland just in time to actually participate in the battle. I could, in theory, start developing my third stack of tier 1 units. The problem is that tier 1 units are quite expensive in terms of upkeep. For example, a spell shield is 12 gold and 2 mana, whereas an arcane guard is 8 gold and 2 mana. Brilliant. The outpost over here has built its stone wall, so it's generating me a nice boost of mana and gold and providing me with a fortified location that projects claims, right? Claims on this province, Thrindara Herald. So if anyone wants to expand towards me, they have to get grievances with me, which will give me a justified war. Now, I believe she declared an unjustified war with me, which is going to hurt her economy. So I'll have a much easier time fighting her than she'll have fighting me. Unfortunately, exploring the underground is quite dangerous and one of my scouts was just murked, but we did discover an area that we could fit probably a decent underground city. Like, there's plenty of room here, there's a couple of resources. It would probably not be an amazing underground city, but it would be a decent vassal that would provide me with a few resources. So it'll be something we look into in the near future. Starspire is just about to hit 10 population. I could upgrade it to 10 population, but I don't think that's going to be part of the plan. We are now having a little bit of stability issues in this city, which will lower the city income by 10%. And considering I only have a single city, that's actually a really big problem. So I'm going to go ahead and build myself a tavern, which will give me plus 20 stability, and hopefully bring the city up to a more manageable level. A work camp has been produced in this outpost, so I'm going to go ahead and annex the Lost Tomb. This will give me 5 Imperium income, as well as 25 research. Really powerful, really useful, really helpful. I'm also going to go ahead and build stone walls here and the watchtower eventually, mainly so that this outpost will provide me with a little bit of gold income and also provide me with fortification bonuses in the area. We have another rally of the kings, or rally of the lieges rather, and we can recruit a variety of units. So from Obscurum, we could recruit Soothers. These guys are demonkin, so they have Desolate Walk and Burning. Scions of Flame, they're Vessels of Chaos. Okay, well, they have a lot of really cool effects. They have Vengeful Flames, Staves of Mending, Spell Channeling, Resolute, Frenzy, Fiery Wake, Demonkin. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool that we can recruit units from them. I'm not going to recruit units from them, though. We have reached Supreme Vassalage with the Astral Anchorage. Now, what I'm also going to do is go to Starspire here, and I'm going to give this city one of my Whispering Stones. That'll increase its stability by 20 over the course of 10 turns, which should help us deal with this negative stability in addition to this tavern. And we need to have high stability in our capital because we want to get that 15% production income so we can build our buildings slightly faster. I mean, we focus so much on production and it still takes us forever to build buildings. Right, I can trade my blood for an astral spell. So I could trade my blood for the Ignite spell, I could trade my blood for the Ice Coffin spell, or I could trade my blood for Condemnation. Now I happen to know that Ice Coffin inflicts Frozen, which is a very useful stun ability. So I'm going to go ahead and take that. The ability to stun people at will with a magical spell could be a game changer for my empire. Let's go ahead and take on this stack. I'll auto combat it. Nothing died, nothing was really damaged. Should be just an easy clear. And then we can make our way down to actually clear out the bird nest itself. That's going to be a big, maybe final showdown with this goddamn bird nest that's been harassing me since the start of the game. We just finished researching Mighty Meek, which gives us faithful and spirit damage on our tier 1 units. I will happily take that. Now I could take Blessed Reinforcements, which would allow me to reinforce my city-state vassals, but I'm more interested in the Scroll of Attunement here, as that'll allow me to integrate non-mystic races into my faction more easily. Gloom Hooknail has built the Seed of Shadow, which is the first of 3 steps to activating the magical victory for the Shadow Affinity. We do need to keep an eye on that, because if he gets much further than that, it will be a problem for us. Right, let's go ahead and start clearing this bird brain bullshit. Step you forward once, take my hero, engage that stack, we'll auto-combat it, almost lose some units. I will just take that result, bring these 2 stacks down into engagement range. I'll have you take out this Thunderbird. Oh! I could gain stability for 6 turns at the cost of 1 turn of production. Production is too precious. I will take the alignment. Okay, now we got to take on this Phoenix with a fairly damaged stack. So I'm just going to auto-combat it and hope. All right, we lost a little bit too much stuff. Losing 3 units is way too much, so I'll do this on my own. These guys are in a perfect fulmination position. I'll be able to hit the entire army. I probably should have blasted this stack with a spell before I came in here. So I'll go ahead and fulminate them. I will then overchannel with my hero. That should allow me to fulminate them again electrifying. And then I'm going to hit the Weaver ability. And then I'll be able to summon an animal again. Boom. And so I have a Gortusk Matriarch and a Nightmare on the field of battle. I'm going to pull these troops back slightly and form a more coherent defensive line over here. Oh, this is great. He teleported right into the middle of our army. I know that looks like it's possibly bad, but it really isn't. I'll do another over channel, and then I will do a mending touch on this bad boy. I'm going to do an ice coffin on this to hopefully freeze him. Oh my god, we actually froze him. That's like so OP. Then I can cosmically ablate this guy. You are inside a zone of control, which I do not like. I need to get you out of that zone of control. So I'll have to use my melee units to take down this big guy. But I can probably do that pretty easily. So there he is. That's him wrapped up. We can now do the big fat purge on all these guys. Oh, 49 damage, critical hit. That is a beautiful result. Honestly, at this point, what's stopping me from just storming in with my spearmen on the bird? Because it's stunned. At this point, why don't I just storm the gates? Which is exactly what I am going to do. Right, all my units are activated. I'm just going to go ahead and auto-resolve and let my units do whatever they do. Basically, nothing I do should matter right now. The outcome of this battle should be basically guaranteed, unless my units do some like really dumb shit, like not actually like fighting or something. But it does not look like that is the case. Significant health losses, but no unit losses. A bunch of experience, as well as the rewards. We get 96 food, 72 mana, a paladin's winged helmet. Oh, permanently fearless, cannot lose morale. Plus 10 hit points, plus 1 defense, as well as the frost shield. I think I already had a frost shield. I will give the paladin winged helmet to my hero. This is my first actual item this game. Usually by this time of the game, I have like most of my slots filled. It's very RNG depending on like how many of these thingies you've managed to clear. Some games you're lucky, some games you're unlucky. But I tell you what, with the clearing of the Great Bird Nest and the war declared with Scaffold and Asgaricid's Spine Splitter, I'm going to go ahead and call that the end of this episode, and we will be going into the next episode to take her out permanently. She will be our first kill of the match. We will vassalize her. I think there is a way to where we can actually... yeah, I can make her... Oh, she will never surrender because she's a militant warlord. I was thinking of becoming her overlord, but she will actually just never accept that. And her military ranking is really, really high. So I'm going to have to just take her out, I think, through the clever use of magic and stuff. Anyway, this is where we leave off on this episode. I want to thank you guys very much for watching this video on Age of Wonders 4, my current addiction. I love you all very much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!